Hates You.
Hello and welcome to Everyone Hates You, a podcast with me, Michelle Shaughnessy, where we talk about rejections and failures. My guest today is not only a guest, he is a friend. Welcome, Preet Singh.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm okay.
No, you ain't. But
No,
okay,
I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm feeling a little. It's hard because I love doing this podcast. I love being in the studio, but I hate this whole put all the episodes on YouTube thing. Like that's what everyone's doing with their podcast, and that's the one part of it I don't like, and I don't know if I need to put them up there. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like we were just talking about this. When I do like self tapes or things at home, I can control what I look like. I can have like ring lights on me. I can, you know what? I have worn face tape in an audition to make myself look younger, and I can't really do that on this podcast because it will show. Like I brought this little light. I'll show the cameras. I brought this little light. But it's like, where am I going to hang that, you know? So I next episode, you will see, mark my words, watchers, you will see a big ring light in here at some point, and we're all just going to pretend it's not there, and that's what I normally look like. But other than that, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, yeah. I'm all right. I'm cool. I don't need a ring light. I feel like I look natural, beautiful.
You're a man.
That was the worst silence I've ever had, Michelle.
Well, men don't need that stuff.
Horrible.
Men, that's the thing. I feel like I could talk about how I need a ring light and always have makeup on and all that stuff. But if a guy talked like that, that would be such the biggest ick to me. Like if a guy was like, oh, I need a ring light to take a call, I'd be like, ugh, grow up, man up, you know? Like
really?
I'm such a hypocrite with that stuff when it comes to gender norms.
What about plastic surgery? If I was like, I want to get some work done, would that be an ick?
Depends or is that what you wanted to get done.
Breast implants.
Yeah, I think I'd be a little bit
fair.
I don't think I'd want to bang a guy that had nicer tits than I did.
Think about it though. I feel like that would be the best of both worlds.
But I'm fine with men that get plastic surgery. It just depends like what it's for. Like I know men who've had like liposuction and stuff. And
that's the only thing I'd be tempted for.
It's pretty great, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I forget you're like the guru when it comes to plastic surgery and shit.
Yeah, I just need somebody to see me and be like, you know what? You're beautiful. But you could be more beautiful. Here's 100,000 pounds to get a bunch of surgeries.
Speaking of beauty, I've got a bone to pick with you, and I wanted to save it until we were rolling.
This time?
When we were at Top Secret together,
yeah,
you do that joke about butt fuck ugly comedians.
Oh yeah, I say I'm mostly working with butt fuck ugly male comedians. Oh yeah, because you were in the room.
I was on right before you.
Yeah.
And it was the worst thing I've ever had in terms of like my self-esteem. Without a prompt from Michelle on stage, everybody turned around to look at me at the back of the room. I had to laugh to play it off to be like, I'm fine with this, but I'm not fucking fine with that.
You should see when my husband has been at some of my shows and I talk shit about my husband on stage, everyone turns to look at him.
Yeah, that's fine. He chose to marry you.
Yeah,
I didn't consent for you to be mean to me.
I wasn't mean to you. I was generalizing. You were not a butt fuck ugly male comedian.
You are also pretty correct. Male comedians are
right,
butt fuck ugly.
But they can be. They can be, and it's okay. You know, they can go on stage and look like shit. They'll tell a few funny jokes, and women are like, "Oh my god, I love him." It doesn't work that way for us.
I do think you're correct, but I do remember I was in a green room once, and this is how fucking ugly male comedians are, right? I remember I was in a green room with mostly female comedians, and one of them went, "Oh, I gigged with somebody who's actually really good looking," and then all of them simultaneously said the exact same name.
What was the name?
I can't remember. It was. I don't think he's a regular or anything. I think it was just an open mic.
Okay.
And then I was like, that's so funny that she was just like, yeah, the one fit comedian, and all the female comedians were like, oh, that guy.
Yeah, it's because there's not that many. Like, there's guys that I think are attractive, but there's not a lot of like traditionally what you would call, you know, like not a type of guy that you would see in like the pages of a magazine. There's not a lot of that in comedy.
And then you also have to be funny, because you can't be like fit and then not.
I know.
You're the only person live that I've seen that bullies an audience into giving her compliments. And then last gig as well, there was a dude that wanted to buy your panties. I was like, that is merch.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to sell panty merch.
You 100% should.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you don't want my panties.
Nope.
Wow, I just got rejected on a podcast about rejections and failures. So Preet, rejections and failures.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Is there anything that comes to mind when I say rejections and failures that you're like, oh my God, this moment made me feel like everyone hates me?
I had one recently, actually. I'll tell you the most recent one. So I get Wednesday, so I've been doing tour support for Josh Berry.
Josh Berry, very funny guy.
And it's been great. It's been absolutely phenomenal. One of the highlights of my career so far. Up and down the UK. The biggest date we've played so far has been the Clapham Grand.
You did a couple there, didn't you?
We did 5.
5. That's good for him.
4 have gone absolutely great. Forget Josh for a second, right? This is about me.
Okay.
Right? Great for him. 4 have been great for me in tour support. Absolutely crowd working in a fucking theatre. It looks great. And then the last one, I did 20 minutes. And I think I listened back to it and I counted 4 laughs in 20 minutes.
And it was your normal set, just one of those nights.
I tried crowd work, got a couple of pops. Then I was like, oh, they're not really responding, so let me go into material. And I don't know if I just lost them by the time or what. Yeah, about 4 laughs.
Sometimes it's just one of those things. You're just not everybody's cup of tea. And it's one of those weird coincidences where it's just all the type of same people at the show who just doesn't like what you're selling. And it happens, you know?
But that 800 people at the same time being like, fuck this. That hurts.
Of course.
That was painful. But then I got over it. And then rejections are failure. Speaking like specifically around comedy.
It doesn't have to be specifically around comedy, but we can start with that.
Let's start with that, right? Because I've got a story that pops to mind.
Okay.
Did you, like, when you started off in Toronto, did you guys have bringers and stuff?
No.
So we used
Toronto has tried that a few times, and immediately all the comics have been like, no, go fuck yourself, and have shut it down.
So you guys got principles. Yeah, we don't. So when we started here, like every night was a bringer.
Yeah, it reminds me of New York in that sense. I knew a lot of friends when they moved over there, they had to do that.
Yeah, so I got used to bringing people to gigs.
Okay.
But when you're doing 5 minutes and like you're at a point where you've got 5 minutes worth of jokes, you end up developing a bit of an ego, innit?
Yeah.
And I got given my first 20.
Especially when all your friends are there and they're like, you're so great. You think you're great.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at this airport terrorism joke. And I do, my first paid gig was a place in Brixton. And it was 200 people. And for some reason, I didn't have a 20, but for some reason, my first 20 went great. I was riffing, everything went great. That same place, they're like, hey, look, our host doesn't really like hosting. Do you want to host the next one? We think you'd be great at it. I was like, yeah, cool. So I invite this girl that I'd been on a few dates with, and I'm due to stay around. Yeah, I know, Luke's laughing already, right? And I'm due to stay around at hers because she lives in Brixton. I'm like, great, last train, 1 o'clock. I'll miss that. I bought an overnight bag. This is how confident I was, right? An overnight bag, right? I'm like, this is going to be phenomenal. Like, obviously, I'm going to do it great again. I get on, I'm hosting, and immediately I lose him. Just wasn't funny, didn't have any charisma, nothing, like, immediately. And I'm like, but I don't panic because I'm like, look, I'm used to bombing by now. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just a bad gig. I'll get through it. Daniel Muggleton goes on, and I saw him in Edinburgh. We caught up about this. He goes on, rips the gig apart. He's so funny. Michael May goes on, destroys the gig. He's so funny. The headline, I can't remember who it was, goes on, destroys. I'm the only one that bombed that night. And every time I had to go back onto stage, I could just see...
The worst feeling.
I could see her body language change. When I first came off, she was like, don't worry, you'll get him like in the next one. And I'll go on, do nonsense again. And then she's like... And then the final time, I come off stage and she's on the phone. Yeah, 100%. Obviously, I realize now I'm just getting roasted in the group chat. And it was so bad, she couldn't even drop a message. She had to call. Right? I get off the final time and she's waiting for me. She's bought herself a drink, hasn't bought me one. Right? And she's gone, hey, so what I was thinking was we're probably better as friends.
Oh, no.
35 seconds after I've got off stage, after tanking for my first hosting job, first paid gig, I was like, yeah, man, of course, yeah. It's more of a friend vibe. It was not a fucking friend vibe, right? We'd been on like 3 dates.
She got the ick.
No.
No. She saw the bad comedy. Bad comedy can give girls the ick.
No. There's the ick, which is like, ugh. This was sheer repulsion from a different dimension, right? Like literally, like I saw it on her face. Like before, it's like she's come dressed like all looking nice. We spoke about staying at hers. Do you understand the level of like pullback this girl had?
Jesus.
Right? And I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, 100%, 100%. I missed my last train home. I slept at Paddington Station on one of them fucking benches after bombing my first hosting job, right? Until 5 a.m. You know, I remember it was a December night as well. Look how cold it is.
Why didn't you just get a hotel?
Because I was broke as fuck back then.
No.
Yeah.
That's the worst. You didn't have a buddy you could call or...
At 1 a.m? No.
Wow.
No. Blanket, not even a blanket, a coat.
Could you imagine the hilarity if at 5 a.m. you saw her, she was like coming in for work or something and you're just sleeping on the station? She would be like, you know what? I made the right choice.
She's just coming in with Daniel Muggleton.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'll drop you off, baby.
Did you have to talk to her again?
No, of course not. No. Never heard from her again. Nothing. I did see Daniel. This was, bearing in mind, this was about 4.5 years ago. I saw Daniel for the first time after that, and it was so bad he remembered me.
Oh, that's hilarious.
do you understand how shit a gig has
some
to go?
comics that still stick in my mind. The only reason I remember them is because I saw them do so bad that it was funny.
Yeah, I felt myself on the back foot with Daniel. I was like, no, I'm sick now. Like, I'm really good.
We've all had those shows though. Like, there's some places that I bombed so bad at that I'm too embarrassed to even try to redeem myself at. You know, like when I first moved to town, my second show in the UK was when I bombed so bad. Mind you, it wasn't a great night. There was a stag party interrupting everybody. Yeah. A lot of the comics weren't doing well, but it was my trial spot, and I bombed so bad that I have not gone back. And I saw the booker at the festival in the summer, and I was like, oh, do you remember me? Like, I did that awful spot. And she was like, that's okay. She's like, sometimes we just put comics on before they're ready. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm 15 years in. It was just bad. And I've just never, I was like, oh my God. And I've never gone back again. Like, I will never try to get booked there. They will probably never ask me to go back. I'm sure it's a great club, and I'm sure people have great shows, but I left out the alley. That's how embarrassed I was. I walked out the back alley, and in my head I was like, I'm never coming back here again. And the worst part was, because it was a trial, I had paid my own train, I had paid my own hotel, so then I had to go back to the fucking travel lodge and sit there like a fucking loser and feel pathetic. And then I was like, whatever, they probably don't remember. And then when I saw her in the summer and she said that, I was like, I want to die.
Oh my God. It's before people are ready, Michelle. You need to pace yourself. The UK comedy industry is not easy.
Life isn't easy, Preet. Life is not easy.
Oh man, I know there's a few places that won't book me because I've done like so bad.
It happens, and like there's a place here too that I did a trial spot at, and I was pissy about doing a trial spot because I felt that I was past that. And also the trial spot was basically a full spot, but just less pay. And I was like, And then I was there, and something happened during my set. It wasn't fully my fault. Like, there was a big distraction, and everyone kind of turned to look, and I lost the crowd. And they have not had me back since. And it's been a year and a half. And I've messaged them repeatedly and was like, listen, that was just a bad night, off night, and they just will not have me back. So I've kind of just given up. Like, you just need to accept sometimes that some places, once they have an idea about you in their mind, they're just not going to change it until they just randomly see you, you know? And then I feel like the stakes are almost too high sometimes when you try to go back to those places you've bombed at, because then you're like, what if it's a coincidence and I bomb again? And then they're like, no, we were right about it, you know?
I had do you discuss near-miss failures?
What do you mean near-miss failures?
I'll explain. So last week I was, so I'm dating somebody new. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So really like her, right? Great. Awesome. I was like, come through to a show. She was like, yep, cool, I'm down. I get booked for some show in Shoreditch. I won't say the name, right? So I get booked for this show in Shoreditch through a friend. I'm like, cool, come to this one. Another mate, Altaf, messages me, calls me before the show. He's like, hey, Preet, can I get you for a 10 at this gig? Yada, yada. I was like, yeah, cool, I'll double up. He saved my bacon is what I'm trying to say, right? Because she comes to the first one and I rip it a new arsehole. I was great. Second gig, almost the same set. I was running out some new material. They hated me so bad. So bad. I don't even know how to this was last week, right? I don't know what it was. I tried and tested.
And was she at both shows?
Yeah.
The good thing about that is because a lot of people don't understand comedy, right? So when you say, "Oh, it's just about audience," they're like, "Yeah, sure." But because she saw you do nearly identical the same sets, you probably opened her eyes to be like, "Oh, the audience really does make a difference because this one set could kill and this other one couldn't," right? So that's actually probably a good thing that happened early on in your relationship because now she probably gets a feel for the business and what it's like up there.
No. After this podcast and me remembering that fucking Brixton story, I'm never inviting her to another show again.
You're not. I think for me, I don't have guys at shows until we're well into it. You know.
How long?
It just depends on the guy. Because I dated a guy years ago, and he and I met him through comedy. Like I met him at a show.
Yeah.
And he came and was so jealous. It wasn't that I did bad. He didn't like that I flirt with guys on stage. He didn't like that I did sex jokes because he was like, now everyone in the audience is picturing fucking you. And I was like, they were picturing that the second I walked up stage. But, he just couldn't handle it. So I do think a little early is good because then you get a sense for what type of person they are, but not too early because you want them to like you first, like you for who you are first.
Yeah. That's fucking wild. That he was jealous. Was he a comedian?
So no. He was like a finance guy.
That's even worse.
But he was a giant comedy fan. Like he's since deleted all his social media and moved into the woods. I'm not even joking. But I used to like look him up on socials just for a laugh. And he would like, do you know those people that tweet at famous people like their friends? Like he'll be like, "Hey, Joe Rogan, loved your podcast today. Thanks, man." And I'm like, Joe Rogan's not fucking seeing your tweet, you loser.
We need to get you some dating coaching or something.
I'm married, so I'm okay with no dating coach. But
good. I'm glad that that's happened.
Tell you what, if I'm ever single, you can hire me a dating coach.
Yeah. And I feel like we'll turn that into a segment because at any time you need to vet somebody's social media.
You do.
Like,
really
have they ever thrown out a casual N-bomb on Twitter? Right? That's true, isn't it? Do they tweet celebrities and how many foot accounts do they follow?
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
That's a good one, actually. I find it weird when people that aren't in the industry have a lot of followers. It makes me suspicious. Like, it makes me feel like they're just following a lot of like porn accounts and getting do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird.
What do you make of the guy's perspective? As in, like, say you're dating a guy. Mm-hmm. Let's pretend you're not married. You're dating a guy. He's not in the industry or anything, and he just has, like, let's say 10,000 followers.
I'd want to know why.
What would your immediate thought be? Why does he have 10,000 followers?
That he probably did something that went viral a while ago, like whether it be like a video that got posted online or something like that. I don't know. I would just, it'd be weird to me why somebody would care to have that many followers when they're not in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
It would make it seem like they secretly wanted to be in the entertainment industry, and I cannot date a man like that.
Fair. Could you ever date another comedian?
I have. I think there's ups and downsides to it. Like, some comedian relationships really work out, and I've seen them work out. But I do think one of you has to be very, very, very far ahead of the other. Because if you're around the same level or even close enough that one of them could pass you, I think that's where the problems can come. But if I met somebody and they were like already famous or already whatever, sure, because I know there's not a probability that I'm going to do anything with my career that would make them jealous and resent me. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
And I would just never date an amateur because that's disgusting.
I feel like you should address that to the male comedians out there. Michelle would never date an amateur comedian.
Could you ever date a comic?
No. Okay. I always get this right, and I know we're supposed to be talking about failures and shit, and I feel like I would have failed at life if I started dating another comedian.
Okay. Do you think you'd like compare yourself and where they're at and?
Nah, I just got taste. Like, who the fuck would date a comedian? I judge people who date me.
Yeah, I judge women that date male comedians very harshly. It's weird. And I would never, anytime a friend of mine has been like, that guy's cute, I'm like, no, I'm not setting you up with a male comedian. That's not happening.
Nah. And even as a dude, I feel like a lot of dude comedians are just grim.
They're disgusting and they're sad and bitter.
Yeah. And then, like, female comedians, you guys are pretty bad as well.
We get sad and bitter too, but I think it's in a different way. I think when a man is sad and bitter, it comes off with a different energy than when a female is. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Because I think when a woman's like upset or angry or whatever, it's just, like emotion. But when a man's like that, it makes me feel like, the thing that there seems to be a lot of men now complaining about not getting stuff because they're straight white men, you know? And it comes off when they complain about it. It comes off like they just hate all women, you know?
I would say, I would hazard what, Luke, what were we saying? 75% of male comedians hate women? Oh, okay, fair play. Nah, fuck it. I'll go on the record. I reckon it's about 75%.
Yeah, I could see that.
I've heard some shit where I'm just like, oh, you're grim, bro.
Well, I'm so sick of being a dumping ground for middle-aged fucking male comedians to complain to me about their wives. And like, what did you do to make her be mean to you? You know? It's a thing. And I'm sick of it. But so many times I work with men and all they want to do is shit on their wives. And I feel like marriage is tough and I get that, but like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, save that.
I don't want to hear about it. And I'm always going to take her side. Always. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, save that for the stage like every other middle-aged male comedian. Yeah, I've come in with some energy today. It's because your job as a woman is to be a therapist for any man you come across.
That's how it feels. And
That
sometimes I need a therapist. Sometimes
Yeah.
I want to be the one to complain in the car ride for 2 hours, you know? Now, so you, in your day job,
Yeah,
have you had failures and rejections in the professional world?
so much.
Okay.
So okay, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I worked for. I've had a corporate career for like 12 years, I think now.
Mhm.
Yeah, about. Wait, how old am I? No. I've over-egged it. 8 years.
Okay.
And I've worked at some like pretty big like banks, financial places, all of that shit, right? And I was working at one place, and it was known as like the Premier League of like once you get into there, you're there kind of thing. And for the first 6 months, I really tried.
Okay.
Like, I was really like, come on, like let's get a career going, come on. And then I just realised I don't want to do this bullshit. And that's when I took up comedy. I was like, I don't want to do this bullshit. I'm creative. And I started putting more energy into comedy and my work started to dip. For about a year and a half, I did zero work.
And nobody said anything. You just coasted.
I coasted so hard. But I'm such a good bullshitter
Mhm.
that I was able to like just get past by the skin of my ass. And there was one meeting where I was meant to do this thing that was like critical, right? And I won't bore you with what it was, but it was critical. It's all of this. And I took that half an hour task, the critical half an hour task, that was with me for 3 months. For 3 whole months. And to the point where my manager pulled me aside and she goes, I don't understand what to do with you. She was like, you've had this thing for 3 months. She's like, I've just done it while we've been talking.
Oh, wow. You got called out.
To be fair, that manager's really good, right? Like,
Is this the job you're still at?
no.
Okay, good.
No,
I was
no.
like, do you want to be telling this?
No,
Okay.
no. I actually work now. And, what ended up happening there was I realized I was probably going to get fired from this job. And I'd just gone through a breakup with someone at the time. So I went off on sick leave for 4 months.
And they had to pay you for that.
They had to pay me for
That's amazing. I love that.
that. Yeah.
You guys have more sick leave here than we do in Canada.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, we don't have the same protections.
I always say to my friends when they're complaining about their job, they're stressed, I'm just like, go tell your GP, brother. You get that note,
Mm-hmm.
you are golden. I tell this to comedians all the time as well. I'm just like, you stressed? You look a little bit stressed. I have 2 weeks off. Come on. But that really fucked my career up for a bit.
Do you think?
Oh,
Well, I mean, but now you have a new career, right? So
Yeah.
comedy's your main thing. So I feel like maybe that's good because if you had kept putting in the level at that job that you were, you probably wouldn't have started comedy when you did because you would have been so good at your job that you would have been worried about jeopardizing that.
yeah.
So I think that's probably a good thing in the long run because it got you to be like, you know what, I'm gonna dive into comedy, which is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
How was your family when you told them that you were gonna do comedy, and did you tell them before you did it?
No.
Okay.
My relationship with my parents is like, it's different. I've always been, I wouldn't say I'm the rebel of the family, but it's like I just do what I want to do, and I always have.
I'm the
since
same
I
way
was a
too.
kid. And
Like my sisters are very like, what will mom and dad think? And I'll just fucking do whatever.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just like, look, it'll be fine. They hated it initially, and to be fair to them, if like my son told me he was going to go to the arse end of the country for 5 minutes out of his own pocket, I'd be like, you're a fucking idiot, bro. So I kept it quiet for a bit, But eventually, you know, you're going out all the time, all that shit. I think they were worried I was getting into drink or drugs or something. I was like, no, it's worse. it's a lot worse. It's something that's going to cost me more money and time. And but afterwards, they understood that, okay, he's not going to give it up. So they start making these little snide comments.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like you've got a big gig at the time, like a gong show or something, and you're about to walk out of the door, and my mum would just be like, we're rich. I'll be like, no, we fucking aren't. And she'd be like, in comparison to you, we are.
So funny.
And I'm like,
it's almost like slyly her reminding you, like, hey, this is our money.
Yeah.
Our comedy son might not get any of this.
No, she outright told me one time. So my parents were legit. They were just like, you never know who's going to be left this inheritance. And I'm just like, all right, cool.
That's so funny.
My parents held this inheritance over. It's not even a fucking inheritance, right? But it's like they've held that over our head till we were probably both hit about 28, because I got a brother as well.
Yeah.
And he's hit 28.
Is it just the two of you?
No, I've got a sister as well.
Yeah, okay.
But she's like a little bit older.
Right.
And yeah, so they held this inheritance over us for ages. Like they found out I was dating a white girl one time. They were just like, oof, there goes the inheritance. I was just like, okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. But so to answer your question, they were they were a little bit iffy with it until I did my first bit of TV. So when I did my first bit of TV last year.
What did you do on TV?
I did the BBC Asian Network's like Asian extravaganza, whatever comedy thing.
And that's when they were like, oh.
They were like, oh, and I think they realised, oh, he's actually good.
Yeah.
Because I was getting laughs and shit. And then a few of their friends sent it to him and shit. And then ever since then, they've been like, oh, okay, cool, where you going today? Blah, blah, blah. And all of that. And I think my dad's more okay with it than my mum is. My dad's almost too supportive. Like, to the point where he'll try and, like, give me jokes and shit to write.
Oh, no.
But, like, because obviously he speaks in Punjabi, and Punjabi humor is so different to English stand-up. So he'll be like, come here. I've got a joke for you, right? A man takes a goat, and then the goat has 3 children. He's only got 2 children. I'm like, Dad, stop. Like, goat jokes don't work here. Like, so please. My dad just loves a little bit of sexism. So he'll be like, look, a man hits his wife. I'm like, no, that's I can't do that shit.
That's such a generational thing, right? Like, because my dad will just be like, it's just jokes. It's just I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, you can't make jokes like that anymore, Dad. Like, it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're probably both lucky to have parents that at least support what we do. You know? Like I knew people who had to lie about being comics well into their 30s because their parents were just not okay with it, and they lived at home, right? Because they were like
broke.
No, not broke, but just from it, like, trying to think how to put it. They were from like European families where that's just what you do. You live at home till you get married, kind of thing, right? So I think they were worried that like if their parents knew they were doing comedy, then it would either be a shame or their parents would be like, fuck this, you're never going to get married. Like, what have we done? You know? Do you find pressure to get married in your family?
I see, if you had my mum on this podcast, she would definitely chalk that up as a failure of hers that I'm not married by the age of 30.
Okay. Nobody gets married before 30 now. That's just, you know?
Yeah, but so my folks were married at 22.
Yeah, same with mine. My mom was 21. No, my mom was 20. And then they started having kids at 21, right? So I think it's just a generational thing, but I also do know people who are of like different ethnicities than I am, and their parents still have those kind of views that they need to be married by a certain time. Yeah,
I think my parents gave up when I was about 25, I think.
Okay.
And I just started combating all of their shit with like actual truths. Mm-hmm. So like when I was like 25, I showed my mum Tinder, and I was like, bro,
this is what's out there.
This is I'm like, have a look. And then I think generally, even though I did that as like kind of like a rub it in your face kind of thing, legit they were kind of like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. And then now, I think it's come back now because like I've hit 30, and in their eyes that's 40. And like so it's kind of come back now where they're just kind of like, so is there a Mrs. Preet? Is there somebody who goes to gigs with you and shit? And I'm like, to be fair, I don't really mind that much because that's just them inquiring about my life.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Are you nervous to introduce them to a new girl because you think they're going to bring up marriage right away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My parents are very much do it and then tell us. Like,
really?
Don't get married.
No, but just be in a relationship and don't tell us when it's time.
Yeah, so like when they found out that I was like dicking around or whatever, they were just like, look, there's only one rule. The only girl that comes back is somebody you're ready to marry.
So you're not going to bring a girl home till you know that this is who you're going to marry.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I guess, unless I'm like, okay, cool, I'm probably going to get engaged in a bit.
Yeah.
So let me introduce, that kind of thing.
Would you need permission from your family to get engaged? Is it that type of family?
I mean, if they had it their way, yeah.
Okay.
But the way I am, nah.
No. So they're pretty liberal minded.
I think so. They try and like portray they're not, but in comparison to their peers, so, like, their brothers and sisters and stuff, my parents are pretty cool.
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. You sound pretty lucky to kind of have like that family support, you know, and like you're very fortunate. Like honestly, if my parents lived here, I would live with them as long as I could, save that money, you know. But I've just lived away from them for so long. I mean, I don't know if it would work now, but yeah, no, it sounds like you kind of got like a good.
I've hit the Asian lottery.
Yeah, and you've got like a good team of support behind you.
Yeah.
And that probably makes it a little easier to kind of do something like comedy where there's so much bullshit and failures and rejections and that kind of stuff.
That's such a cute note to wrap this up on.
No,
that was amazing.
It is a cute note to wrap this up on. But is there any other rejections and failures that you want to talk about or anything that you really impacted you?
I did go through an atrocious breakup a little while ago, like a few years ago, that now I look back on it and I'm like, what the fuck were you playing at?
And what do you mean by atrocious? Like you got dumped?
I always maintained that it was mutual.
So you got dumped?
Yeah, I got dumped. She basically lived in New York, innit? And we like started this like long distance thing that wasn't really long distance.
Wait, where did you meet her?
Here in London. She was here for a bit. And then but the image that I always remember, and this is where my life I think hit rock bottom, and I've now gone past it. Right? We were having the Dear John conversation. I'm in Manhattan. I've gone over to go see her, and the first day I see her, we have this conversation where it's like, this probably isn't going to work out. It's like, yeah, it's probably not. So, but we hadn't like really spoken about it properly. I send her this massive paragraph text where it was just kind of like, this is what I feel, and she was fucking livid. She was like, why didn't you say any of this before? And like, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm like, what the fuck were you playing at? And then
you just wanted what you couldn't have.
Nah, I think
because men do that. Men do that. They'll break up with us, or vice versa. We'll break up with them, and then they'll try to become the man that we wanted them to be in the first place, and it never sticks.
So I think it was a case of I was trying to just be like, look, she's gonna move, and it's fine. So I was trying to be like a little bit more casual than I probably was. And I was like a dumb kid. I was like 25.
Yeah.
Right. And so she goes, she calls me back and she's like, what the fuck? And she's shouting at me through tears. I start crying.
Aww.
I'm a massive softie.
I love that.
So I start crying and I'm like, oh shit, I don't want to cry on this sidewalk. Let me dip into this alleyway. I dip into this alleyway while I'm crying. Right, I'm like, and it wasn't like I'm not a cute crier, like, you know, majestic, like one of those like Native Americans, but crying about, no, I'm like, right, one of those. And I just hear rustling and shit, and I look over while I'm having a conversation that's going to impact my entire life. There's two homeless people fucking.
I love that. Did it kind of snap you back into reality a little bit?
Yeah, I was like,
you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
I was like, they're not going to believe this, but yeah, it was fucking wild. And then, no, the thought that actually went into my head was like, look, I'm single, and this homeless dude that has shit in his ass cracks fucking away. He's got a girlfriend, and I no longer have a girlfriend. And that, Michelle, was when my life hit rock bottom.
Well, you've done a good job about correcting that, I think.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
If you woke up tomorrow, notifications were going wild, your phone was blowing up, and everyone hated Preet Singh, and your friends were messaging you and being like, what did you do? Everyone hates you, Preet. Is there something in your mind instantly where you're like, it probably would have been to do with this? What is that thing?
It 100% would be something to do with religion and culture. I come from a Sikh background and Punjabi culture, but I was born and raised here, right? And a lot of the shit that we level at our parents for being like so traditional, you're this, like you have this concept of honor, has actually filtered down to our generation. So I think it would be, I was either trying to be smart and crack a joke about Sikhism or Punjabi culture or something, and I've just offended my entire community. And I've been close a couple of times.
Okay. So you think it would be something that you posted online
Yeah.
and forgot about, woke up the next day, and Punjab's all over him at it?
Yeah. Or it would just be something where I'm like, this is hilarious. And then like the community would just be like, what the flying fuck have you done? And I'm like, oh shit. What have I done?
Is there anything that you want to plug? Anything upcoming? Or where can people find you?
Yeah, I think just the socials. Like I've got
Yeah.
like a ton of cool shit coming up, but it's like at Comedy Preet. It's on all of them. This is a failure actually.
Okay.
Motherfuckers never know how to spell Preet.
It's the easiest thing to spell.
Preet.
Although I thought your name was Preach for like a good month.
What the fuck?
I thought it was Preach because I had only met you. I didn't see your name written down.
Okay.
So I was just told, oh, this guy Preet Singh's coming. And I thought it was Preach Singh. So it
I
wasn't
probably
until-
never corrected it because when you say it fast, it sounds like Preet Singh.
Exactly. Because I think I was hosting that night.
Yeah.
I fully introduced you as Preach Singh. And then when I found out it was Preet, I was like, oh, fuck, he's going to say something. You didn't say anything.
No, because
So I was like, oh, I don't think he noticed.
Nah, I didn't
Great.
because I remember the night. No,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah. That was a fun night.
That was.
Yeah, that was
a
awesome.
good time.
But thank you for coming on. I hope you had a good time.
This was great. This was cool. I'm just gonna go cry about all of my failures and shit though.
That's really what I want guests to leave with. I want them to leave feeling like they're garbage. And
You've
so thank
succeeded. Yeah, the
you
garbage
so
people.
much. Thank you. But if you ever have any more failures and rejections and you want to come back on, feel free to let me know.
Let's do that.
Thank you. Yay, this is Everyone Hates Preet. Woo!
Cheers.
Everyone hates you.